Howdy Gamers, it's me, Sprix the Dragon, coming at you live in this pre-recorded video. So I've uploaded some time lapses and little flip note skits in the past on this channel, but I've always wanted to do more with YouTube, but never got around to it because of, well, laziness mostly. So this is kind of my first, big boy video. My top 10 favorite Pokemon. Seems like a pretty reasonable first video to make, because I like talking about Pokemon, and I also love ranking stuff and having opinions. So yeah, this just felt like a natural step forward. As an illustrator, however, I decided to add a little extra something to this video. I thought this would be a cool excuse to make an illustration of each of my favorite Pokemon that made it onto this list. I feel like I haven't drawn some of these Pokemon nearly enough, so I'm glad I pushed myself into giving some of these Pokemon more love. Anyway, let's get started. Now, despite being one of the OGs, Lapras is a mon that I've only recently grown a newfound appreciation for. That being said, I've always liked Lapras, cause I mean, who wouldn't? It's super cute and huggable, but also has this air of mystique to it. It's based off of the Loch Ness Monster, so it makes sense too. This Pokemon is super rare in the Gen 1 games, and you only get one. The Pokédex says that it's almost extinct, so there's this real weight behind being given this Pokemon. Lapras is the quintessential surf Pokemon of the series. It's the Pokemon that Ash explores the Orange Islands on, and it always comes back to fulfill that role of being your ride Pokemon while you're on the ocean. When the games made the jump to 3D, Lapras was the only Pokemon to get an overworld surf model, and when the Alola games introduced ride Pokemon, take a wild guess which Pokemon is the one you ride on. I think as a result, it's such a key part of the Pokemon series world building. Yeah, if Pokemon were real, riding on a Lapras would be pretty high on the list of things I'd want to do right away. I'm glad they managed to breed this Pokemon out of endangerment because I think a world with more Lapras is a better one. Something you'll notice about my tastes in Pokemon, specifically what I find cute in a Pokemon, is that while the typical characteristics of what make a creature cute do play a role, the thing that really pushes a design over the edge for me into "I would die for this creature" territory is if there's some added edge to round out the cuteness. Well, what do I mean by that? Take Archon for example. Bro looks derpy as heck. Big ol' head, big round eyes, all of which definitely helps make the design cute. But what pushes the design into being adorable for me is the fact that this Pokemon 100% bites if you get too close. Yes, that makes it cuter. If you get it, you get it. Adorableness aside, Archon is just a cool guy. Definitely my favorite fossil Pokemon, and there's some steep competition in that category as a dinosaur lover. This guy is based on the Archaeopteryx, which is a reference to a Lemon Demon song. I like its evolution too. I used Archeops in a draft league once, and Power Herb Meteor Beam was something I love to pull with that guy. Overall, just very solid designs. I just realized this dude is also my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon too. It gets 2 superlatives, 3 actually, because it's my favorite rock type too. Also, when this Pokemon gets damaged to under half health, it gets tilted and actually just starts throwing the game. To be honest, he's just like me for real. There must be a spiritual connection there. So yeah, the thing I said about cuteness being routed out with edge applies here too. Totodile is adorable, and he looks like he would totally bite my arm off. Go off, King, you have my permission. I feel like when it comes to starters, every person gravitates towards a certain type every generation. For me, it was always water. I remember as a kid, I always went for the water starter because they could always learn an ice type move down the line, and end up being super effective against both fire and grass types. So it was the only logical choice. To be honest, Kid Me did have a point. Water starters always kinda had that advantage over the others thanks to their ice coverage. So yeah, when I played Heart Gold for the first time, I picked Totodile, and as a gator lover, yeah, this is pretty much the perfect creature. I like its evolutions too. I almost put Feraligatr on the list instead, but I have to be real with myself. Totodile is definitely a perfect design. It had to be him. Totodile gets extra nostalgia points because he was my partner in my first playthrough of a mystery dungeon game, and I recently got to pick Totodile again in Legends EA, and I just gotta say, the fact that Mega Feraligatr becomes a giant Totodile when it attacks is honestly perfect. It may be called Mega Feraligatr, but it's Mega Totodile in spirit, and I love it for that. Next up, paying for crimes that it did not commit ever since Generation 1, we have Porygon. Porygon is the OG artificial Pokemon, along with Mewtwo, I guess. Mewtwo is cool and all, but yeah, of course it's the funny little RGB duck that won my heart. Porygon's whole evolutionary line is so inspired. In Gen 2, they added Porygon 2, which smooths out Porygon's jagged polygons, representing the real-life advancement of technology, with tech getting sleeker and 3D models having more polygons. So that was already cool, but then in Gen 4, they gifted us with Porygon Z, and there's so much to love here. They basically went, what if we gave Porygon 2 malware? You literally give your Porygon 2 a dubious disc to evolve it to this Pokemon. You just installed malware on your Pokemon, congratulations. Porygon Z is made of the same pieces as Porygon 2, but rearranged. I tried to show that off in the drawing because I think it's a neat detail. Now its base stat total doesn't really increase all too much. In fact, it loses a bunch of bulk in favor of more special attack, which is why Porygon 2 with Eviolite was so good for so long. I always liked how it never completely overshadowed its pre-Evo in that way. The world is wide enough for both of them. Back in Gen 7, I remember using this strategy online where I would use Z conversion on Porygon Z, which would give you an Omni Boost and also change your type to whatever your first move was. It was really fun. For me, probably not for anyone I was playing against. Dude, I just love how this guy looks. I find it oddly cute. I love the way he moves all twitchy, especially when he attacks. He's glitchy, poorly optimized, runs like garbage, but I love him anyway. He's just like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for real. You could tell a lot about a person based on what their favorite evolution is. For instance, if it's Flareon, you're kind, innocent, and probably bad at math. Espeon should honestly just be added to the lesbian flag at this point. If it's Leafeon, you're definitely a depressed bisexual. I can't prove the science behind it, but it's true. If your favorite is Umbreon, you're the living embodiment of that Buzz Lightyear meme. And if it's Sylveon, if your favorite is Glaceon, you enjoy not evolving your Eevee until the 8th gym in most games. And if your favorite is Vaporeon, you're pretty cool. Now my favorite has always been Jolteon. I mean, he's literally a spiky round boy, how could you not love him? He's also super fast and could sweep your entire team all while looking cute the whole time. If Jolteon is your Eevee of choice, you have good taste, my friend, and you should probably half your caffeine intake. Whenever I can fit an electric type in my team, I always try for Jolteon, and you bet when Pokemon XD got added to Switch Online, I evolved my starter Eevee into Jolteon as soon as I could. Oh, by the way, if your favorite is Eevee, you're avoidant and hate making decisions. You haven't played through Alola properly if you haven't beaten the Elite Four with a male Salandit in your party. It's poisonous, it burns, it bites, he's a little gremlin, a little goober, and I love him so much. The canonical reason why male Salandits don't evolve is because they do whatever the females of their species tell them to do and give them most of their food. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it sounds to me like this is a Pokemon that knows how to treat their women, and that's pretty based. I do actually love Salazzle too. She was one of my team members on my very first playthrough of Pokemon Sun, but just like with Totodile and Archon, I am partial to the little goober, the Skrunkly, if you will. One of my core memories from Pokemon Sun was SOS hunting for a shiny female Salandit. I had it all planned out with a cute charm Pokemon at the front of my party and everything. I did actually get the shiny female Salandit, and that was definitely one of my best shiny hunting achievements due to, well, the gender ratio not exactly being in your favor when it comes to that hunt. Salandit has a really solid design too. I love the little masks they wear and that stupid little expression they keep on their face. I do kind of wish Salazzle kept the mask, but it makes sense that it doesn't. Salandits are kind of designed to be the goons after all, and I think the design conveys that really well. Honestly, the Alola region really cooked with its Pokemon designs. I just love how, for basically the first time since Generation 1, they decided to make a pseudo-legendary who's just a friendly little goober, a bundle of joy who likes to give hugs. Goodra just makes me so happy, because yeah, I want this dude to hug me. Smothered in goop? No, smothered with love. And this is something you'll probably be noticing as we get higher on the list. I am in love with this genre of Pokemon design. Just a fat, friend-shaped dragon creature who's powerful when it counts but is normally just a chill dude. Yeah, I'd want that on my team if Pokemon were real 100%. And the thing about Goodra is that I love the whole line. The fact that it evolves from a sort of snail-looking guy is cool, and Goomy alone is a perfect design. I think there's definitely a good argument for giving Goomy this spot on the list instead, but I think the whole line deserves the love, so I drew the whole family getting together. I do wonder why they're pure dragon though. Bug would have made sense because they have antennae, and we don't have a bug dragon yet. I think a stronger argument could be made for the water type though. It learns a bunch of water type moves and literally evolves in the rain. In most games, it can only be found in the rain too. Surprisingly, not the only Pokemon on this list that feels like it should be water type but isn't. Yeah, that's right, I'm throwing a little bit of foreshadowing into this video. So in the generation immediately following the one where we got Goodra, Game Freak gifted us with another slam dunk of a pseudo-legendary design. I really like how inspired of a design Komodo is. I think it fits the region it's from very well, being this sort of travel warrior kind of dude, but it also has this sound-based design element going on. He makes noise by clanging his giant scales, hence his signature move, and access to Boom Burst too. I remember his ability Soundproof being very cool to have, cause Hyper Voice Pixelate Sylveon is a nice thing to be immune to when you're 4 times weak to Fairy. I know for a fact that if the sound type was real, this guy would be Sound Dragon type 100%. Competitive viability doesn't usually factor in all too much in my ranking of my favorite Pokemon, but with Komodo specifically, I just find this Pokemon so fun to use in online battles. Back when I did draft leagues, I made sure to pick this guy whenever I could because there are so many fun strategies you can do with him. Probably not optimal or even viable, but definitely fun, and to me that's what counts. This guy has kind of been my signature ace Pokemon ever since Gen 7, at least when it comes to battling. I just have so many fond memories of sweeping people with the combination of Clangorous Soul and Throat Spray, or I'd maybe use a loaded dice set with Scale Shot and catch people off guard with that. Bro gets obliterated at the sight of a fairy, but that's fine, we all get obliterated from time to time, it's part of life. I couldn't agree more, Hideki Naganuma, CEO of Funky Fresh Beats. I sure do love Lugia's Potbelly. Talk about a creature design that does so much with so little. Back in the Gen 1 and 2 days, Game Freak was kind of limited in how much detail they could add to their designs cause, you know, Game Boy, not much screen real estate to work with. So I find it impressive how they still managed to give these legendaries that air of majesty that comes with the territory of being a legendary. Lugia's design is pretty simple, but every element that is there serves a very important purpose in this Pokemon's design. I'm serious, take away one thing from Lugia and it all feels wrong. That's an intentional design right there. It also makes Lugia very fun to draw for me as an artist because it's so easy. Lugia is a very common Pokemon that I use for warm-up doodles as a result. Oh, and yes, this was indeed that other Pokemon I was talking about that should have totally been water type. I mean, this guy literally lives in an underwater cave and is the guardian of the sea. I really like how Lugia is a vaguely bird-like creature with hand wings, but it works. It works really well and feels distinctly Pokemon. Some people may have realized that the visors on Mysona's design are exactly like Lugia's. They add a lot and it's really that X factor that makes him feel legendary. The end result is a legendary that is both majestic, full of aura, but also yeah, I'd buy a plushie of this guy. I'll take them all actually. I don't care how much bigger than me a real Lugia would be, I want to hug one. Now for the number 1 spot, surprising absolutely nobody, my favorite Pokemon is the OG Fat Dragon that started it all. I think Dragonite is the perfect number 1 pick for this list because if you've been picking up on the things that I value in a Pokemon throughout this video, it should make perfect sense that Dragonite is my favorite Pokemon of all time. First of all, he's got that duology that I love of being this adorable, cute creature who can also absolutely kick your butt in a battle, because Dragonite is still a dragon after all. Dragonite is also majestic. He's still got that Dragonair DNA in him. that air of mystique that comes with the territory of being the only dragon-type line in Generation 1. Just like Lugia, the design does a lot with very little, not to mention this guy is real fun to use in battle. I enjoy using the multi-scale ability to set up Dragon Dance, and its access to extreme speed is pretty much iconic at this point, allowing for cool strategies that are still used to this day like Terra Normal Extreme Speed. All that, and he still has that pot belly that we can all agree makes any Pokemon design 10 times better. Dragonite, my guy. Oh, and recently, we got blessed with the presence of Mega Dragonite. Mega Dragonite's design is so perfect. Bringing back Dragonair's head wings and really going in on the friendly majestic dragon angle is honestly the perfect direction to take a Mega Evolution for Dragonite. Definitely my favorite Mega Evolution of all time, and absolutely the one I'd use if Pokemon were real. Heck yeah, we made it to the very end of the video. Thanks for sticking around to the very end. I hope that means you enjoyed it. This is kind of my first time really trying with a YouTube video. I kind of want to make YouTube more of a thing, so if you enjoyed it, subscribing would be nice, or even just sharing with someone who you think might enjoy this kind of thing. No matter what, I'm grateful you're even here. Feel free to let me know in the comments what your favorite Pokemon is and why, in 300 words minimum, with 2 examples from the readings, an MLA of course, 12-point font.